If you've ever watched the original Star Wars trilogy in that big box set on VHS, they have an advertisement for a behind-the-scenes documentary on the making of Star Wars. In that commercial, they show George Lucas saying, "A special effect is a tool, a means of telling a story. A special effect without a story is a pretty boring thing." For me, Avatar: The Way of Water was a pretty boring thing with the exception of the last 45 minutes. There is very little story going on and most of it just feels like a long visual effects reel showing off the latest CGI technology. Avatar: The Way of Water brings back the original cast, including Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, and Stephen Lang, and we are introduced to Jake and Neytiri's 4 children, as well as a human boy named Spider who was raised on Pandora kind of like a Tarzan character. The basic spoiler-free plot is that after many years the humans have returned to Pandora and the Na'vi are engaged in an extended guerrilla warfare campaign to prevent the humans from building a permanent settlement. Stephen Lang's Quaritch, the villain from the first film, has been cloned and has his DNA spliced with an avatar, and he and his avatar marines are tasked with hunting down and killing Jake Sully, who is now the leader of the Na'vi. Sully and his family seek refuge with the avatars, or Na'vi or whatever they're called, who live on the ocean reef. For some reason, I was able to ignore the silliness of the premise and the creature design in the first film, but The Way of Water was very difficult for me to take seriously. I was constantly holding myself back from chuckling. Stephen Lang and his Avatar Marines look kind of ridiculous to me with their short military haircuts on top of their tiny heads, while they say "hoorah" and blow bubblegum bubbles. The reef-dwelling avatars, or I don't know what their specific tribe is named, but they are based on Polynesian culture, and I almost burst out laughing seeing these big blue CGI aliens with tribal face tattoos doing the Polynesian war cry where they stick their tongue out and shout "blah!" It's an intimidating gesture when done by actual Polynesians, but it looks like parody when funny-looking blue aliens are doing it. Most of the film's runtime is not spent on moving the plot forward, but is instead spent on showing off the cool creatures and water effects using the latest CG technology. There are a lot of long sequences of people oohing and awing at all the pretty fish in the ocean. Most of the conflict in the movie comes from Sully's and Neytiri's children who are constantly getting into trouble. They do something they know they're not supposed to, and Sully yells, "I told you not to go out there, but you disobeyed me." "I'm sorry, Dad, but we had no choice." "Okay, well, don't do it again." Then 15 minutes later, they do something again, and we have the same, "I told you not to do that! Don't you know you could have been killed?" "I'm sorry, sir, it won't happen again." And then at least 2 times they get in trouble. We do the cliched, one kid takes the blame so he can earn the other kid's respect routine. You know, one of the kids gets in trouble, but then the other one says, "It wasn't his fault, I'm the one to blame." And then afterwards they're like, "Why did you take the blame for me?" Oh, I can't stand that Hollywood trope. Even though the first Avatar's plot wasn't anything we hadn't seen before, it still had some magnitude and a sense of urgency. The simplistic plot for Avatar 2 doesn't justify its extended runtime. The dialogue is very schmaltzy. You know, it's filled with things like, "We are born of water, and to water we will return. The water gives, and the water takes." I couldn't get the image out of my head of Derek Zoolander saying, "Water is the essence of wetness, and wetness is the essence of beauty." Unfortunately, Zoe Saldana is also sidelined in this sequel. Her primary role in this film is to do ugly cry face screaming. You know, like something bad happens, she goes, "Ah! Ah!" And I really hate that. The special effects are very cool, but they didn't really hit me until the finale. You know, I'm watching the first 2 hours and I'm thinking, okay, I can see that these are good special effects, but for some reason it's not impressing me. I think for me, the best special effects are the ones that blend human actors into a digital environment. In the finale, we have a lot of humans and really cool looking robot technology, and they are riding boats and shooting at flying fish dragons, and it was really something else. Before that, it's almost 100% CGI with CGI creatures and actors, and it just doesn't hit you in the same way as it does when you see a human being blended into a CGI environment. However, I will say you have never seen special effects like this before. Unfortunately, they aren't enough to carry the movie for me, so the only reason why I would recommend seeing this movie is for the last 45 minutes, but I don't know. I think you have to really like Avatar in order to really like this movie.